Sorry about that. Hello, everybody. It is 8:58 p.m. Central Time on the 4th of January, 2021. It's Monday here in the United States. I forgot to hit the microphone button, which I now have a microphone button for. I can press in the middle of turn it back on, and it turns right back on. The most amazing twist of technology in the world. We're here to talk about seismic events. In case you don't know where you're at, you're on the Earthquake 3D live stream, and we're using the USGS and EMSC coming out of Europe to give us a good idea of the areas that are moving. We're looking at about 48 hours worth of activity, and the biggest of the bunch so far for the whole planet right now, 6.1 up here in the North Pacific in the Aleutian Island chain. But I do want to start over here really quick and just show you the deep earthquakes. They are raised high off the globe for easy identification purposes. And you see there's several of the deep earthquakes on our letter D, or right next to our letter D, a forecast area point where we watch for deep earthquakes to occur. The deep earthquakes put pressure up on the underside of the plate. And I'll just quickly show it to you. I show this all the time. I think what's going on down below the plates, a series of concentric waves are forming in on each other and then pushing in at a central point into a spike or a singularity that focuses the full force of the combined wave up into the underside of the plate. And where the deep earthquakes are happening, basically it's like a leverage point, where this would be a lever arm coming in on the underside of something, pushing up, out, and away from the deep earthquakes. And from there, we have a spread of the same-sized earthquakes spreading out 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.0, 5.1, 5.0, 5.0, 5.1. Do you see a commonality between all of these going out across the whole region? All the way over into China, 5.0. This is all in the last 2 days. Now, the spacing on these fives and 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, 5, etc., that is basically a standing wave. The same-sized earthquakes within a hair of a point of each other, spreading out across a distance. Well, in a wave tank, we see it happen in a fluid, for instance. But what I think's going on is, for instance, at the height or at the lowest point of the trough or the valley, whether you're at the peak, at the top, or at the bottom of the wave, the earthquake is happening either at the top or the bottom of the wave as it spreads out across a region, dropping off the same-sized earthquakes all the way along the way, filling in the points in between the fives. So like if these were the high points, the low points are going down to 4.5, and over here 4.6, and up here 4.3, and then back to 4.6 to 4.7 again. But it's about the same size in between the fives, as well as the standing wave is spreading out. But the standing wave is following, instead of a perfect tank like in that laboratory I was just showing you, it's an uneven, twisted mess of plate boundaries that's containing that wave as it spreads out and away. It's all spreading out and away from this point in the West Pacific, and then we have new deep earthquakes that hammer off next to or in between our other letter Ds. For instance, here northwest of Hokkaido, Japan, a deep 4. So the largest earthquake of the day, so far 6.1, Aleutian Island chain. Let me show it to you this way. Well, they don't even have it on the USGS 24-hour feed anymore. Technically, it was yesterday, but 6.1, right in the middle where the red line is, that's the plate boundary. So that's energy coming across from Japan, which itself had a bunch of activity this past week, going down on the coast of Japan into Tokyo itself. China got hit, as I mentioned, a 5.0 earthquake striking in central China. That's on the eastern edge of the interior of the plate. You see the brown versus the tannish color. That's mountains versus highlands. And then we have highlands versus green, which is basin. So we're right at the boundary, at what I would call the craton boundary of the interior portion of the Chinese plate. I don't even know the name of it. Over to the west, 4.5s going across China again, going right over to the border with Tajikistan at the tip of the red arrow here, 2 4.5s. Again, that same sized earthquake activity, just like what I was talking about in the West Pacific with the spread of the same sized earthquakes in 5s. Well, we take a step down to 4s going across all of Asia. Once we get over into the Mideast, we have one other set of 5.0 range activity. It's just like the rest all the way across the planet. 5.0, 5.1, and it reached over to the Caspian Sea. This is the Caspian Sea right here, this body of water. Over to the west from there, this crashed the EMSC servers last night. The people in Croatia were bombarding the EMSC website to find information on the earthquake that struck. A lot of people thought it was bigger, the earthquake that is, and it came in at 4.5 to 4.6. It's a series of new 4s are breaking out in Croatia. A lot of people are asking me what to look for on this, and I'm going to give you a pretty good idea of what to expect. Hope I'm right about this. The energy that's coming in now should strike where our rings overlap or very close to them on the red arrow. Therefore, we should warn Albania up to Bosnia for new activity to come in, but it should be a little bit less than the 6.4 that struck in Croatia to begin this whole mess. So energy is going across Europe. Holland got hit. My people. And look, hey, I do want to draw everybody's attention to this quake here really quick. Hold on. Do you see anything on the screen here? I drink my chamomile tea tonight. It's a 2.5 earthquake reported internationally from the USGS out of Belgium, right at the Holland border. Now there's a volcanic field right here, the East Eifel and West Eifel volcanic field. And I mean right there at the border between Belgium, Holland, and Germany. Let me show it to you. We'll go over here and just zoom in on the location. Here we are. Here is the border between Holland or Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. And you'll see the volcanic fields marked by the Smithsonian here, here, and here. Rodenburg is the nearest. Also, just in a weird twist of fate, right over here, that's where Andre Rieu is from, right in South Netherlands over here at Maastricht. Right here. Just a little point of information for any of my viewers who like Andre Rieu. But, so, this was a forecast. We were watching for Holland as well as the UK to get hit. UK has not been hit at all. But up to the north, 4.7 and 4.6. The 4.7 is, hold on. It came in handy already. Oh, man, okay. Had a little throat issue going on here, apparently, this past week. Hence the tea. I haven't been outside too much. Anyway, 4.6, 4.7. And these two earthquakes, two of the same size, going across the North Mid-Atlantic Ridge. There's a middle point between the 4.6 and 4.7 and the area down to the south where the other 4.6, or, well, now 4.5 and 4.4. What I'm getting at here is now we're dealing with two of the same sized earthquakes on both sides of the region. And we would expect that middle point, and that's North Scotland, also to move. So, getting back to what to expect, energy has already flowed out across Ireland, all the way to the North Mid-Atlantic Ridge. A little bit of energy in the mid-range 4 level. Nothing in the 5 or upper 5 level that we would expect after a huge earthquake in Central Europe, like the 6.4 that struck this past week. We would expect new 5s to break out up here. And we're close, but there's still a lot more energy that must be trapped in the European plate, in between where the energy is coming in. Think of this like a flowing river. All of these earthquakes marked in pink and red are older. The earthquakes that are marked in white are younger. So the energy over the past 2 days has come flowing across Asia, going through into the Mideast, and it's pooled up here back behind Croatia. So I would expect the middle point behind Croatia to be the new point to break. One more time, let me show you the standing wave video again and try to explain it again this way. Here's the tank. As the waves are moving through the tank, each peak fills in the previous point's middle point. In other words, each peak fills in the previous valley, right at the middle point. Naturally, this isn't humans doing this. This is standing wave. These are standing waves. And I can just leave my mouse parked in the location here, and you'll see the middle point gets filled in and then empty and then filled in and then empty. And they find the middle points of each other naturally as the wave, the standing wave, spreads out across the tank. The same thing here. This is the middle point that should be filled in by the next rising wave. But really the middle point encompasses everywhere from the red line, right up here, north of Albania, going into Bosnia, all the way down here to the south to the first end of the ring right there. A 200-mile stretch. Maybe 300 miles at the most, but 200 miles right in the middle is where I would look for that new break to take place, and it should be just a little bit less. Why? Well, if I've got this right, it should be less because energy has escaped out of the tank slightly, or at least down to the end. So a little bit of energy has escaped out, which still means there should be a break. So if I'm right about this, in the next 2 to 3 days, up to 72 hours from now, today is the 4th, still my time. I know you're ahead of me, so you're already the 5th, but let's just say the 5th, 6th, 7th, going into the 8th, so what is that, 3.5 days? Or almost 4 days, but basically 3 days. Going from the 5th till about the 8th or the night of the 7th, we're going to watch for this to happen in Central Europe. Additionally, something that has not happened yet that should happen are new upper fours to come in over in Eastern Europe, Romania and Poland. Last week, what was it, 3s? It was 3s that went around the plate last week, but then the 6.4 struck. So you got to remember what happened. First of 5 struck in Croatia. Some people paid attention. Other people said, no big deal, 5.0 earthquake. When that struck, I told everybody to watch over to Romania, up to Poland, and out across to the UK, etc. But what happened? 3s went over to Romania. 3s went up into Poland, not 5s. So 2 missing magnitudes worth of energy were still trapped here. Then a new push came in. 5.0 range or greater came rolling in across Iran, and you remember, energy came up out of the Red Sea, if you remember if you're a viewer of mine, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Red Sea started to get hit, Iran started to get hit, energy was, Israel even moved right down here. And then our big break took place. So, should be where the rings overlap, the middle fulcrum point between our 2 areas that are moving mainly. The 2 main areas that are moving are Turkey and Central Europe. So we look between the 2, which brings us right here.